So today, Republicans are on Capitol Hill hosting hearings for their latest political stunt, their baseless impeachment of the Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas, which really only serves one purpose, which is to obstruct any type of bipartisan border security negotiations with the White House. So here's what Congressman Dan Goldman had to say during that hearing.
This, on the other hand, is an impeachment process that you are moving forward because you claim that Secretary Mayorkas, who's obviously working under the direction of President Biden, is failing to secure the border. The irony of the fact that Secretary Mayorkas has spent the last 2 months plus with a bipartisan group of senators negotiating legislation that would address the problems at the border should not be lost on anyone. You are sitting here right now trying to impeach a Secretary of Homeland Security for neglecting his duties literally while he is trying to perform his duties and negotiate legislation. Now, the real reason we are here, as we all know, is because Donald Trump wants to run on immigration as his number one issue in the November 2024 election. And you don't have to take my word for it, because he said it himself. And last week, numerous Republicans echoed his call. Why would we actually solve the problems at the border when it is such a good political message to use for the election? And Leader McConnell even reiterated in a closed-door meeting of the Republican members of the Senate that we're in a quandary, he said, because our candidate wants to run on immigration. And we don't want to get in the way of our candidate. Now, I know this weekend I saw Chairman McCall on TV and others, and you're changing your tune now because you said the quiet part out loud that this is all about politics. And so now it's, oh no, the president can do it without legislation.
Now let's get this straight. The Republican Party is not simply opposing Secretary Mayorkas. They are actively sabotaging any attempt at securing our borders. Why? Because any type of real solution under a Democratic administration is, at least politically, their worst nightmare. To be clear, they'd much rather play politics and put on this theatrical show of an impeachment rather than protect our nation. Just last week, President Biden himself put out his own statement, eager to get this issue resolved. Here's what he said, quote, "For too long, we all know the border's been broken. It's long past time to fix it. That's why 2 months ago, I instructed my team to begin negotiations with a bipartisan group of senators to seriously and finally address the border crisis. For weeks now, that's what they've done, working around the clock, through the holidays, and over weekends. Let's be clear. What's been negotiated would, if passed into law, be the toughest and fairest set of reforms to secure the border we've ever had in our country. It would give me, as president, a new emergency authority to shut down the border when it becomes overwhelmed. And if given that authority, I would use it the day I sign the bill into law. Further, Congress needs to finally provide the funding I requested in October to secure the border. This includes an additional 1,300 Border Patrol agents, 375 immigration judges, 1,600 asylum officers, and over 100 cutting-edge inspection machines to help detect and stop fentanyl at our southwest border. Securing the border through these negotiations is a win for America. For everyone who is demanding tougher border control, this is the way to do it. If you're serious about the border crisis, pass a bipartisan bill, and I will sign it." As you can see, President Biden and Democrats are more than willing and more than ready to take action on the border. So this impeachment is nothing more than a theatrical political ploy. It's a desperate attempt by the GOP to distract from their lack of coherent policies and, frankly, to undermine the Biden administration. They're simply using Secretary Mayorkas as a scapegoat for issues they have no real intention of solving. For Republicans in Congress, any real action to protect our border taken under President Biden would be a political loss for Donald Trump, and that's frankly all they care about right now. This isn't about border security. It's about fear-mongering and sabotage. It's about keeping their base riled up with anti-immigrant rhetoric while preventing Democrats and President Biden from taking action. The GOP knows full well that a divided America works in their favor, so they're doing everything they can to keep it that way. But who suffers from this political game? Real people. Families seeking asylum, border communities in need of resources, and frankly, a country that is yearning for comprehensive immigration reform and has been yearning for it for some time. The GOP's theatrics are causing real harm with their hypocritical and incoherent stance, but they simply don't care. So while Democrats are actively attempting to find a solution to this crisis, Republicans have made their tactics abundantly clear: distract, divide, and obstruct. If you enjoyed this video, do us a huge favor, like this video and subscribe to us here at Really America.